faces. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Charles Small, the director of the Initiative for the Interdisciplinary Study of Anti-Semitism. Lauren Clark is the coordinator. She's the public face of ISA. So I'd like to welcome the new people here, and I'm glad to see such a good turnout for this lecture, and no doubt because of the speaker, Professor David Menashri, and the subject that he'll be speaking about. The title of the lecture today is called Iran's Nuclear Challenge, A View from Tel Aviv. And I'd just like to say I'm very grateful to see familiar faces in the audience as well, not just new ones. There's a lot of members of the Faculty Advisory Committee of ISA who are here, so I'm glad to see them. And for those of you who weren't at the first seminar 2 weeks ago, there's a few of our new postdocs and graduate students. Most of them are sitting around here, so it's nice to see them here. And I think, in a sense, ISA is really starting to become a proper research center. So it's nice to see. And just before I introduce Professor Menashri, I'd like to tell you that next week the seminar series is resuming. And Ahmed Tarani is coming to speak also on issues of Iran. He's speaking about Iranian anti-Semitism on the internet. And he is the editor of the Harvard Global Voices, so it should be an interesting seminar and touching on similar issues to today. So Professor David Menashri has become a familiar face here at ISA. He helped us tremendously to create these conference that we held last April, the end of April, on understanding the challenge of Iran, and it still require more understanding even after our conference. And he also participated in the seminar series the year before. Professor Menashri is the director of the Center for Iranian Studies at Tel Aviv University. He's also a professor of Middle East history at Tel Aviv University, and he's also the dean of the university's special program. His research focuses on social and political history of modern Iran, education and modernization in the Middle East in general, and issues of Shiite political thought and Central Asian affairs. He's spoke literally all over the world. I won't go into details where he spoke, but every major institution and event dealing with Iran and the Middle East he's participated and spoken at. He's written widely. He has a book that was recently published called The Jews of Iran, between the Pahlavi monarchy and the Islamic Republic. And recently he wrote another book called The Jews of Iran, which was published by the Ben Tzvi Institute in 2006. So it's really an honor to have Professor David Menashri with us again.
Thank you, Charles. I'm delighted to be here. I'm also surprised that there's so many people who, rather than going to rest on Friday early afternoon, coming to lecture on such a problematic and complex issue. But I'm most delighted to see the young scholars here, and I think that it is wonderful to see this institute developing to be a real center of studies of anti-Semitism. Unfortunately, there is a lot of anti-Semitism going on all over the world, and it's good to have the only U.S. institute that deals with such topics. A word about the topic that I'm speaking about. I was asked by a friend who saw the wide coverage that you give to your invitations all over the world, and I was asked by someone from America to see the invitation, why you call it A View from Tel Aviv and not Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the capital city of Israel. Of course, I respect and accept, and unlike some foreign countries, I know that Jerusalem is the capital city of Israel, but I deliberately say A View from Tel Aviv, because my views are not necessarily do not correspond necessarily with the views of the government of Israel. And later on, you will see that there are some differences, and therefore I thought it better to call it A View from Tel Aviv rather than A View from Jerusalem. Needless to say, I'm from Tel Aviv University, so it fits better in this direction. The Arab Revolution will be marking 30 years to its existence in February. And I think that it is doing so with deep soul searching, asking one major question that is being already asked now for some time. What did we gain from the revolution? Are the realities today fit or meet the expectations of our parents 30 years ago when they joined Ayatollah Khomeini to overthrow the Shah and establish the Islamic Republic of Iran? And I think if you go to the streets of Tehran and ask this question, chances are the vast majority of the Iranians will tell you that the expectations were much greater than the realities today show. And this is the basic dilemma of the Iranian revolution in the Iranian politics today. The revolution did not really manage to deliver what it promised. Many people think that the main promise of the revolution was to establish Islamic regime. I don't happen to agree with it. I don't think that the people joined Ayatollah Khomeini in '79 for religious reasons. I similarly don't think that the Hamas, Hezbollah, Fiz, and other movements are religious in its narrow meaning of the word religion. Of course, in Islamic or Jewish term, it was religious because in Islam and Judaism, everything has to do with religion, political structure, social system, even what we eat has to do with religion. But if you use Western terminology, the revolution was social, economic, political, cultural, international, against imperialism, colonialism. It was all this together. People joined Khomeini because they were fed up with realities of life under the Shah. I happened to live in Tehran in the last 2 years of the Shah's rule, doing studies supported by the Ford Foundation in Tehran University on education in Iran. And I saw people joining Ayatollah Khomeini, many of them Jews, liberals, left-wings, people who were not really religious, but they were one thing in common. They believed that the future can be brighter if only we produce a change. And joining Khomeini was basically part of this change to move Iran to a new direction. There is another point that I think should be put on the table at the beginning, is that many people turn to identify Khomeini's ideology and the ideology of the Islamic revolution with Islam, or at least with Shiite Islam. I don't agree with this either. I think that there is no such a thing as the Islam, as there is no such a thing as the Judaism or the Christianity. Of course, there is one Islam, one Judaism, one Christianity, but we don't live today according to what Islam has been 40 centuries ago, or Christianity 2,000 years ago, or Judaism 3,000 years ago. We live today according to our interpretations of religion. And interpretations vary. There are different interpretations of Islam. Khomeini wrote the most radical interpretation of Islam, that existed always on the margin of the Islamic political thought and philosophy. He brought it to center, he brought it to power. Now, one should not mistake equating Khomeini's philosophy as representing Islam, but it represents the kind of philosophy that governs in Iran today. To give you an example, when Khomeini came to power in '79, there have been 7 grand ayatollahs in Iran. None of them supported Ayatollah Khomeini's philosophy. The most leading ayatollah in Iran at that time, Ayatollah Shariat Madari, was forced into house arrest until he passed away 6 months later. One of the most prominent ayatollahs in Iran, who has been initially chosen to be Khomeini's successor, Ayatollah Montazeri, today doesn't have the freedom to preach his students. The most leading ayatollah in Iraq, Ayatollah Sistani, does not agree with Khomeini's philosophy or Khamenei's ideology for almost any issue. So there are so many different interpretations, but what we're speaking today is about the most radical interpretation developed by Ayatollah Khomeini and being now carried on with even greater force by President Ahmadinejad of Iran. The third point that I will make in initial statement here is that even if we are speaking about a radical ideology in power, one should recognize the fact that ideology, when they turn from opposition to power, tend to modify themselves and be more pragmatic. In any revolution in the world, there is difference between what you say in opposition and what you do in power. With power, often enough, comes responsibility. And the Iranian government has to feed 17-something million people. It means that they must be more pragmatic. It's not enough to raise their flag and slogans. You have to give practical solutions. And in Iran, like in any other ideological or even non-ideological movement, in transition from opposition to power, the policy turned to be more pragmatic. In each and every case that I can recall, or maybe with very few exceptions, whenever there was a clash between the ideology of the revolution and the national interest of the state, of the interest of the government in power, the interest won over ideology. The only major issue in which there is no any significant change in the attitude of the Iranian government is the policy towards the West and towards Israel. Here, the attitude has been very radical initially, with Khomeini's slogan of two slogans, one against the West, it was neither the East nor the West, neither the Soviet Union nor the United States, and the second was that Israel should be eliminated and destroyed. And this remains Ahmadinejad's legacy and philosophy even today. I know there are some arguments that he doesn't really mean to eliminate Israel. He only speaks about wiping out Israel from the map. I don't accept this kind of thing. I think that whoever reads Persian and follows Iranian politics in the last 30 years, there is one constant issue in their agenda. Israel should be eliminated and destroyed. And when they have missiles in exhibition and in military parades in Tehran, on the missile it's written that Israel should be eliminated and destroyed. I once asked a friend of mine from Tehran University, why you have to say Israel should be eliminated and destroyed? If you eliminate Israel, what remains to be destroyed? Just to make sure that it's dead and buried, that there's nothing exists, make it final. So I think that the philosophy of the Iranian Revolution remains the same. This does not mean that every Iranian wakes up in the morning and asks, well, what can I do today to destroy the state of Israel? Believe me, they have more important things in their life than the destruction of the state of Israel. The common people of Iran don't care so much about Israel. The main issue in their life is to bring bread to their children. But for the revolutionary government, it is still important to raise and to wave with this flag. Because I said before that when ideological movements come to power, they tend to modify and they adjust their ideology into reality. But this is when there is a clash between ideology and interest. In the case of Israel, I would claim that there is no clash between ideology and the national or political interest. Ideologically, they are against Israel, and pragmatically, they don't have any incentive, at least in their view, to change their attitude. Now, why they are so much against Israel ideologically? First, for Iran, as a religious ideology, Jews are, it is not a nationalism. Jews is a religion, is a faith. Jews do not therefore have the right to have a state, certainly not in the Middle East, of course not with Jerusalem as its capital. They reject existence of the Jewish state in the Middle East, and this has been constant in their ideology all over the last 30 years. They also view Israel as an agent of imperialism that was created to divide the Muslim world and make it easier to take advantage of its resources, of the resources of the Muslim world. And honestly, I often don't know if they hate Israel because of the United States or they hate the United States because of Israel. That doesn't make much difference. They hate both of them the same way. If you ask me, they hate more the United States than they hate Israel. Because the main enemy of Iran, in their own view, is not Israel. Israel is a small country. It is an ideology which aims to have a counterweight to American culture or Western culture. Western civilization was based on two major pillars: communist Russia and capitalist America. One of them has disappeared at least as the Soviet Union, the concept of communism. And the second, they believe, is going to follow Soviet collapse and collapse as well. And I think that if you've been reading the Iranian newspaper the last 2 weeks, I know that it's very sensitive to you too, what's going on in the markets. This was for them the beginning of the materialization of this program. That here is the other pillar is falling apart. But the existence of Israel is another problem for Islamic ideology, because in Islam, Jews are supposed to be a tolerated minority under Islamic rule. But what's happened after 1948, and more significantly after 1967, is rather than Jews being a tolerant minority under Islamic rule, there are so many Muslims under Jewish control. This is ideologically speaking unacceptable, because it shows that history went out of track. To return this train to its own track, Israel should be eliminated. They use Islamic terminology to reject Israel, unlike what used to be under Nasser or Arab nationalism, that the conflict was national and political. Today it's more and more religious confrontation. The other reason that ideologically they are against Israel is they identify deeply with the Palestinian problem. And finally, I would say that because of the close relations of Israel with the United States under the Shah, of course, when this regime came to power, all those who had been friends of Iran, of the Shah, like Israel and the United States, have turned to be the enemies of Islam. So far for the ideology. But what I want to claim is that there is no significant counterbalance to move Iran to a softer attitude. Because not only that ideologically they are against the state of Israel, they don't have any pragmatic reason to retreat from this dogma. On the contrary, I would say very bluntly, if Israel had not been in existence, it was the interest of the Islamic Revolution to create the Jewish state of Israel. We serve a good aim for that. A revolution that has not been successful in achieving its goal, in giving the people the benefits socially, politically, freedom, bread. It's always good to have an enemy far away. Mainly when it's far away, you don't have to fight Israel. You send the Hezbollah, you send the Hamas. Iran is far away from Israel. It's easier to have an enemy like Israel. It's a convenient enemy which serves the interest of the revolution to divert public opinion from domestic hardship into an enemy, whether realistic or not, away from war. The struggle against Israel that the Hezbollah and the Hamas conduct is being viewed by the Islamic regime as the success of their ideology, for a revolution that doesn't have any other success. This is a major benefit. And we could see through the war in Lebanon and other events how much they are proud of whatever is being done by the Palestinians, by the Lebanese in the borders of Israel, and any act of terrorism actually is being taken as a symbol of the strength of the Islamic ideology. It is also important for them, for a country like Iran, who wants to be the leader of the Muslim world, to raise the flag of Jerusalem. I feel pity for this city. Whoever wants has some kind of ambitions in the region speaks in the name of Jerusalem. I remember the days that Saddam Hussein invaded Iran. Iran is on the east of Iraq. Israel is on the west of Iraq. The army was marching to opposite direction of Jerusalem, but the slogan of Saddam was, "The way to Jerusalem goes through Tehran." And you look at the map, the soldiers were marching opposite. But this is, again, this is the symbolic thing. You put Jerusalem, it's in the center of your ideology if you want to unify the Muslim world, regardless that Jerusalem is not being viewed so highly in the Quran or the Islamic tradition. And finally on this issue, they don't pay the price, which allows them actually to continue and wave with the flag and raise these anti-Israeli slogans as much as they wish without being asked to be accounted for what their policy and for these statements. Now, there are differences in attitudes within Iranian body of politics. There are different directions, different philosophies, different groups within Iran. Why cannot hide or ignore the fact that there are in Iran certain very positive developments going on in civil society? I must admit that women organizations in Iran are the most successful and progressive than any other women organization in the Middle East that I know, including Israel. Cinema industry in Iran is the best in the Middle East and beyond the Middle East. The newspapers that I read from Iran are interesting to read. And I often being asked how you can speak about free, I don't say about free press, but relatively some kind of openness in the press, while 100 newspapers were shut down in 5 years. Which is true, but show me another country in the Middle East which has 100 liberal newspapers to shut them down. The fact that 100 will be shut down means that there were 100 newspapers. So I honestly, I'm torn between, there are certain things in civil society, and use of internet in Iran is the highest, the most extensive in the Middle East with the exception of Israel. So you have many developments which are very encouraging for the future. The point is that all these nice liberals, intellectuals, do not dictate policy, do not decide policy. And God forbid Iran has nuclear power, the decision, the man who can push the button is not the intellectual, certainly if they are in jail or even if they are still wandering around freely, they cannot dictate policy. The policy of Iran is in the hand of the most radical people in Iran, the radical conservative who suppress freedom in Iran itself and raise these anti-Israeli and other slogans. Khatami, the president of Iran from 1997 to 2005, was very liberal, relatively speaking. He wished to create a change, but he failed to do so because in Iran, the president is not the head of the state. Now, why Ahmadinejad, who is representing the more conservative, has the power? Why the conservative has so much power? I will give you 4 reasons very briefly. One, they speak in the name of God. They speak in the name of ideology or religious ideology. In the Middle East, if you speak in the name of Islam or religion or Judaism, it carries a lot of weight. We are a region in which religion is so very important. And if you wake up in the morning and tell people what God exactly wants, it carries some weight, much weight, I would say. And I don't have to go for Israel, Tehran, I can only go to Jerusalem and find out. The second asset that they have the military on their hand. Now, believe me, if you are a revolution, you have Islam or religion on one side, and the military on the other side, you are safe. The third element is that they are determined to maintain power in hand, even if they have to suppress their people. The mentor of Ahmadinejad, Ayatollah Mesbah Yazdi, went out publicly to state that whoever thinks that Islam is a religion of mercy does not understand Islam at all. And honestly, I think Islam is a religion of mercy, like in Judaism. The most popular slogan or statement in Islam is Bismillah Rahman Rahim, in the name of God the Merciful. But here is Ayatollah saying that whoever thinks that Islam is religion of mercy doesn't know Islam at all, and goes on to say that Islam dictates to us to take a sharp sword and cut the heads and tongues of people who are against us. Now, why Ahmadinejad is making all these radical anti-Israeli statements, and I don't repeat the statement because I think you are familiar. First, I believe that he believes in what he says. When he speaks so radically, I think you should give him the credit that he really believes in what he says. He also looks around him and sees that international developments are working to his advantage. The United States, by the way, the country that has done the most important services to Iranian Islamic revolutionary national interest. The United States removed the enemy number one of Iran, Saddam Hussein. It removed the enemy number two of Iran, the Taliban of Afghanistan. And they are relieved. If they had to use a computer program to find out what is the best scenario for Iran after the fall of Saddam Hussein, what's going on now, it's wonderful for them. It's the best. Not only that Saddam has been removed, America is in the mud of southern Iraq or in Iraq, and this international situation works for that benefit. Looking wider in the region, then you see where is the Arab world. There is a retreat of the Arab world. There is no such a thing as Arab world that we have known in the 50s and 60s. There is no Nasser, Gaddafi, Saddam. An Islamic, an Arab country has been invaded, Iraq. What is the Arab policy? What is the Arab solution? Where is the Arab world? You can hardly find today the Arab world. Instead, and it's another advantage for the Iranian, you see emerging Shiite world. King Abdullah of Jordan even said, described it as a Shiite crescent coming from Tehran to the Gulf states, through Lebanon, Syria, and Lebanon. And then they have the benefit from oil. Well, I know that oil went down a bit, but it's still close to $80. It used to be $20, $30 5, 6 years ago. Every dollar added to a barrel of oil translates to a gross income of $1 billion additional annual income for Iran. It's a lot of money. By the way, I happen to believe that oil has also its dark side, which may backlash. For one thing, if the price of oil was up and it's going down, and you are used to greater money coming in, it is a problem even if the price is $80. But then there's another thing. I think one day the Iranian people will ask the question, if we are so rich, why we are so poor? And I think that oil has its own dark side. If you remember the oil boom of the 70s, 73, Iran income from oil went up from $2.2 billion in 72 to $24 billion in 74, and 79 there was revolution. Because the gap between expectations and realities. But still, Iran has a lot of money and can use it to buy loyalty. Finally, in this regard, I would say that what disturbs me about Ahmadinejad is his mystical, apocalyptical vision that he has been ordained by God to pave the way to the return of the hidden Imam, the Shiite Messiah that we are expecting to return. And he has given expression to it many times. But as I said before, Ahmadinejad is not the head of state. So therefore the question is not why he is speaking as he speaks, why he is not being silenced. The head of the state is Khamenei, the supreme leader. So why Khamenei tolerates such kind of radical statements? For one thing, I would say that probably what Ahmadinejad says is not much different from what Khamenei believes deep in his heart. Ahmadinejad speaks up for many other radicals would believe, but they, for some reason, decide not to express publicly. But then I asked myself, had I been myself Khamenei, it was good or bad for me to have a radical president like Ahmadinejad. I must tell you, my conclusion is very clear. I think it's good for Khamenei to have Ahmadinejad. I came to this conclusion when I read in the Time magazine some big article about Khamenei, how pragmatic and open-minded he is. The only one who could have portrayed Khamenei as a pragmatic is Ahmadinejad. Because compared to him, everyone is like him. So if I was Khamenei, I think it's good to have like someone like Ahmadinejad. And another point is, Ahmadinejad has put the Iranian position that extremist, that if one way Iran wants to negotiate with the United States and compromise, they have a lot of bargaining space to withdraw. So for me, Ahmadinejad is not a one man, it's not one person, it is a whole phenomenon that governs Iranian government. So what worries Israel? Why Israel is so much obsessed with his Iranian nuclear program? I think if it was only the radical ideology, Israel could have lived with it.
We lived with Iranian radical ideology throughout the 80s. The term Islamic Iranian threat has not been used in Israel between 1979. The first time that Israelis used this phrase Iranian threat was in 1992 under Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, when the Iranian nuclear program was developing fast. So the problem with Israel is not only with Islamic radical ideology, but the combination of radical ideology with nuclear power and the delivery system that Iran already has. They had missiles were 1,000 kilometers. I don't know how much miles it would be, 600 something miles. They developed it to 1,300 kilometers. If you go to home and look at the map, which is the country that you cannot hit from Iran with 1,000 kilometer range, and which is the country that you can hit with 1,300? It's only Israel. So why should not we be obsessed when you see this combination of ideology and the means to attack us, and the delivery system that exists to do the job? But it's not only the nuclear issue. Iran is today all over Israel. They are in Lebanon, they are in the West Bank with the Islamic Jihad, they are in the Gaza Strip with the Hamas. So it is an immediate, next to our border, threat that exists. The arms that the Hezbollah has today, the support that the Iranians are giving to the Hamas, it's an immediate threat on the borders of Israel. The third point that I will make is that if one day, I hope, Israel and the Arab countries and the Palestinians will be capable of sitting together and resolving their problem, then we have problem with Iran, that will do whatever is possible to disrupt this process. Unfortunately, I must admit, today, both Israelis and the Palestinians will do whatever we can to spoil any chance for peace between us. So we don't need Iran. We do it by ourselves, we do it very well. But one day, we'll come to the point that we would like to sit together and solve the problem. Then you will have Iran interfere and do whatever is possible to disrupt. The final point of this threat is that I see it's not only radicalization of the Arab-Israeli conflict or Islamic-Israeli conflict, but Islamization of the conflict. The conflict that used to be political and national turns to be more and more religious. So, what can be done against Iranian ambitions and the nuclear program? I will point to three areas of possible answer to the Iranian threat. But let me begin with what I think it's a non-answer. And here is one point that my views are not really do not really correspond with the Israeli government. I don't think that Israel should raise this issue of Iran every day on any media possible. I think it was my advice to our government for years and years. I have met with leaders, I have written letters. Just shut up on the issue of Iran. There is no need to raise this issue every day. It makes no sense that in every ministry, every government meeting, like the Ministry of Tourism or the Ministry of, welfare, rather than solving the problem of which they are responsible, speaking about the Iranian threat and speaking about preemptive attack against Iran. I think that there is a lot to be done to confront the Iranian challenge, but it should not be done in the front pages of the newspapers. The Israeli dilemma is, however, that if we don't speak up, the world will forget. Israel should find other ways to make the world alert of this threat, rather than making statements against the Iranians. Not every problem in the world should have a solution with a trademark made in Israel. This is a too big fight for us. And I think the issue is the problem of the world and not only the problem of Israel. The countries who are even more fearful than Israel of the Iranian nuclear threat are Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan. So why Israel should jump ahead? And I tell you, my nightmare is that one day an American administration will say, okay, Israelis, go and do the job. And then we'll have a real problem. So I think that Not that Iran is not a serious challenge, not that it's a threat that should be ignored. I think there is a lot to be done. But, you know, in our Old Testament, I almost say Bible, you know, we used to say Bible to the Tanakh, but I came to the United States, I realized that the name Tanakh has been occupied, the Bible, and they have to do with the Old Testament. They say that "Betachbulot ta'aseh lecha milchama," that you should conduct your wars cunningly, shrewdly. And I think, honestly, I don't think the West is conducting the wars shrewdly. There are two games which are very popular in Iran and actually associated with Iran: backgammon and chess. I think that the world is playing backgammon with the Iranians while the Iranians are playing chess. In 1967, Hassanin Haikal, the closest person to Nasser, wrote an article saying that, explaining the defeat of the Afghan military. He said, while we Egyptians were playing backgammon, the Iran Israelis were playing chess. Things have changed. And the West and Israel are now turned, in my view, to be those who are playing backgammon, throwing the dice and praying to God, while the Iranians are very sophisticated politicians. This "Betachbulot ta'aseh lecha milchama," cunningly, I translate it accurately, cunningly conduct your wars, was the slogan of the Mossad, and still is the slogan of the Mossad. The question is, my fear is this slogan has been intercepted from Tel Aviv and moved to Tehran or to Qom. But I call really to be more sophisticated in attitude towards Iran, because you have to deal with a very sophisticated enemy. Now, what are the three areas of response? One is American-led solution. Don't ask me why I think that America should lead this, because I think America is the major power in the world, that we all rely on America to defend democracy, not to export for them democracy necessarily, but to defend the democracy. And there is a lot that America can do. By pressuring Iran, by speaking with Iran, by any policy that they find appropriate. Let me tell you upfront, my views are not popular in Israel, because for a long time I supported dialogue with the Iranians. And I beg you not to interpret my words here as interfering in your political business here. I don't support any of your candidates. It's not my business. I hardly know to whom to vote in Israel. I certainly cannot tell. That's not my point. But dialogue that I speak is not necessarily dialogue with one of your candidates. I don't believe that dialogue will lead to necessarily to solution. I don't believe in dialogue with Iran. But I still recommend dialogue for one reason. There is nothing much that you gain from doing nothing. Then until November, there is nothing you can do. And then January, there's a new president. April, May, March, April, May, there will be another administration. June, there are elections in Iran, and you have to wait and wait and wait. Give them 6 months. Get into dialogue to prove one thing, that there is no one to have dialogue with. I needed the message to be sent to two peoples, to the Iranian people and to the American people, to understand that we tried everything bona fide. And the only problem with dialogue is that you can spend a year dialogue with Iran. You know, the Iranians don't have the habit of saying yes or no. They will say yes, but, and then you're going back to the first step. So one should find a formula that Iran should suspend its enrichment of uranium in return of dialogue. But since I don't believe the dialogue will result, I think that the other alternative, the more valid one, is to pressure Iran. The whole theme of my talk is that Iran is attentive to pressure, that they are faithful to their national interests. The moment they realize that they have to pay a heavy price, they will stop it. You have to just to make sure that they realize that they don't have any chance. Unfortunately today, with China, with Russia, with European countries, with selfish interests of different European countries, again, Iran is benefiting. The pressure should not be military necessarily. We have been very successful in conducting pressure on the banking system in Iran. And when the Iranians were horrified with the pressure on their banking system, and two leading banks in Iran were on the verge of collapse, then America again came to help Iran by issuing the national intelligence estimate that what all that remained of it was that Iran suspended its nuclear military program in 2003. It says many other things, but doesn't matter. The one thing that remained in the mind of the people was that it was suspended. So the other area is to have Europe, mainly Europe, to show its moral muscles, to pressure Iran on moral issues, on human rights. So I think that if you have a unified front against Iran on moral, economic issues, one can reach some success. The second, and I'll take now 2-3 minutes of your time, the second area of change is Middle Eastern-made solution. I said before that it should not be necessarily Israeli-made solution, but I think that can be a Middle Eastern-made solution. This is, after all, our problem. So we have to share to find a way out. So I think that one way that we can do it, that the Arab countries, together with Israel, would join hands and solve the Palestinian problem. And what is the connection? If the Palestinian issue is not on the table, I think it will be very, very difficult for the Iranian government to tell its people that they have to fight Israel when Israel will be living with peace with Palestinians. The third area of solution, and I think the one that I think that most important, is the change will come from inside Iran. That the people of Iran who brought Ayatollah Khomeini to power will bring Ayatollah Khomeini's philosophy or will change the policy or even change the regime. Are the Iranians capable of doing so? They have proven in the past that they are. Iran is the only country in the Middle East which had constitutional revolution in 1906. Iran is the only country in the Middle East which had two major popular revolutions in the 20th century, in 1906 and 1979. And in between they had Mossadegh, and in between they have other mass movements. Iran is not a typical Middle Eastern country. The change of policy has been moved again and again by the will of the people. And I think that the main area of hope for change for Iran will be from civil society, from young people of Iran, from the students of Iran, who one day will ask the question, what did we gain from this revolution? But social change is very difficult to produce, and it's always unpredictable. We didn't know when the French Revolution would come, nor the American Revolution, not even the collapse of the Soviet Union, which is not a mass movement. Mass movement erupted immediately with no a priori giving signs of the timing. So far we are left with two trains which have left the terminal in Iran. One is carrying the message of nuclear energy, and the other is carrying the message of regime change, of policy change in Iran. Unfortunately, the train with nuclear energy is driving much faster than the social train in Iran. Thank you.
Professor Menashri has agreed to take some questions.
So, it's in Israel Tachlis, what do you think the chances are that they will develop nuclear weapon in the future?
This is easy question. They will develop nuclear weapon in the future. No doubt about it. You have nuclear technology and nuclear weapon. The question is whether it will be under this regime or another. No, they started developing nuclear energy under the Shah, with the support of the West, with the support of Germany. So it's not a question. I think there's unanimous agreement in Iran that Iran should have nuclear energy, not necessarily nuclear weapon, but nuclear energy. Then this can be shifted to nuclear weapon. It's about the timing of it. I think the question is not whether or not, but when. And I think if this happens under the Islamic regime, it will be very problematic for many countries in the region and beyond the region. And the other part of your topic, so what will really happen, and I think that my advice to the Israeli government is to say one sentence only. That the problem of Iran nuclear weapon is the problem of the world, until we realize that the world is not doing what it's supposed to do. I think that Israel will find it very difficult to live with nuclear Iran, but I don't think that Israel has immediate answers to this challenge. And I think we should not even frighten our own people. There's so many people speak about Iran being an existential threat to Israel. I don't think it will be an existential threat to Israel. I don't want to see Iran having, under this regime, nuclear weapon, but I don't think that Israel, I think that Israel is indestructible. If the Iranians didn't want, they want it or not, they will not be able to destruct it. And they know the punishment. And viewing them as intelligent and responsible people, they know exactly what it means to play with nuclear weapons in Israel.
I'm a little confused as to, in 1981, when the Israelis bombed the Iraqi reactor, and just recently, last year, when they bombed the Syrian reactor, there was no pre-discussion about it. They did it, and they basically denied it, or with respect to Syria. Why the publicity by the Israeli government that they're considering it with respect to Iran? I don't understand why they never discussed it in the past, and now they're discussing it now.
I don't think I can give you an answer, but I think it's a very good question. I'm asking myself the same question. Israel did not threaten Iraq before '81. Israel did not even claim responsibility for what happened in Iraq. I have my own, but one thing that I believe is important in this, it makes a difference, is that Israel is sending signals to the world, help us on this issue. With Iraq it was easier. It was the first time. The first time you surprised them, you did what we did, not that it was easy, but it was a surprise. Now, the fact that you mentioned was Iraq, the Iraqi nuclear facility and the Israeli operation there, means that they also know it, and they are prepared. The nuclear facilities have been diversified in different locations. The Israeli threat is, the credit that I can give to this wisdom is to call for international attention to this issue.
The United States has a history of having gotten involved in trying to bring about regime change or trying to help other countries, promote democracies in exchange for dictatorships or other regimes. And it hasn't worked out all that well. You can think of example after example. So the question is, what could the United States do to bring about your preferred third option, which is namely that regime change would come from within? What kind of support can the United States give to the people of Iran that would bypass the government of Iran, but that would somehow translate into a positive movement to bring about a more just government in Iran?
I believe I was clear that I didn't ask American involvement to change the regime or change the policy of Iran. I hope that the Iranians will do it themselves. And then the question is how the world can support them. There are different ways, and I don't want to elaborate on them right now. Some of them are very clear. It's the media. The next revolution in Iran, and there will be a next revolution in Iran, will be, the main tool will be the internet. And like the television and newspapers and tape cassettes served Khomeini, the internet will serve the next, spreading the message. Television is not being used to send messages to Iran. There is Al Arabiya, there is all kind of networks in Arabic of television, BBC World, CNN, and there is no Al Parsiya, there is no any television station broadcasting Persian to the Iranian people. This is something that can be done. We have, can also help them to raise the questions. What happened to the oil money? What did they gain with the revolution? I think that they read your newspapers, they are attentive to what being said here, and I think this dilemma should be faced. We should put a mirror in the face of the Iranian people to see what happened after 30 years.
I think it's a really complicated issue in terms of the strategy that Israel needs to take. You said that no need to threat the people in Israel, and I agree. On the other hand, you said that בתחבולות תעשה לך מלחמה, like keep silent and do things silently. I don't know if we just keep silent here in the United States, if we don't, make power and noise, to what extent they will think that it's a real threat. I mean, I don't think that, I don't know. So the question is, what is the best strategy? Maybe a possible strategy is just to put it together with the terror, and then terror is something the United States also feel threatened for, and maybe it's a better strategy. If you only talk about Iran, I agree that there is a habituation. Like they already intervene in the issue of Iraq, so now there's a limit to what extent they can intervene again and again. But I don't really understand, why did you say to keep silent? I think that's the only thing that we can maybe do. Just to, to make public relations and to talk about it, to make it explicit.
There is maybe an age difference between us. Today everything is television and publicity and PR. I think Israel has a very good relations with the United States. We have a ministerial level dialogue with the United States on the issue of Iran, at least twice a year. That is Israeli Deputy Prime Minister is coming here, and you have American officials who are in charge of this dialogue. And about this committee of the dialogue, we also have very open line between the Prime Minister of Israel and the President of the United States. The reason I say we should be silent, I'll give you an example. There was something happened, and Israel wanted to bring to the attention of Americans, see few things. I see in the newspaper, the headline is, the two Israeli officers, naming them, two generals, went to Israel, to the United States, to Washington, in a secret mission to alert Iran, America about this Iranian threat, giving evidence of the Iranian. This was in Karin A, for example. Because two generals going secret. It secret. I said the generals should go, should provide evidence, should say what they have to say. You don't need to be, Israel should not be in the front. And there are ways that Israel can conduct its policy, be behind the scene. We have relations with very good friends in the world, but most prominently in the United States. I believe in more quiet and silent diplomacy rather than making waves and then what happens? I'll be honest with you. I hope also that one day Iran is there with their populations. I don't think it's something which is unrealistic. Why do I have to antagonize the Iranian people? I have to do whatever is possible to keep this issue high on the agenda of the world. But if you speak every day, the Iranian threat after 20 years, people will get tired of it.
It's like Zev.
Well, that's what, again,
And then you.
I was wondering, you were saying about civil society, that civil society should bring about change in Iran, and I agree. But then, when you said that the liberals, all these liberals don't dictate anything, have no power, that obviously this implies that there would be a big difference if they would. So I was wondering, what would you say about the problem of a liberal anti-Semitism, for instance, which is not at all connected to radical Islamism? How would that make a big difference for Israel?
liberal
Have more power?
anti-Semitism in the West.
No, liberal anti-Semitism.
So what is a liberal anti-Semitism?
I mean, a form of anti-Semitism not that has not as a source radicalism, and I was just wondering how that makes
Iranian anti-Semitism has its source, and I've given a long talk on this a few months ago or a year ago in this forum. Islamic anti-Semitism at its roots is Western anti-Semitism and Islamic roots. So they borrow from both sources. To be honest with you, one thing that I don't understand with Ahmadinejad is this obsession with the Holocaust denial. I think it's one of the most disturbing things, because actually doesn't have to do anything. Now, if I was Ahmadinejad, I would not even speak about the destruction of the state of Israel. If you want to develop nuclear weapon, what wisdom it makes to threaten Israel all the time? Be quiet on this issue and develop your weapon. No one will be after you. But in a way, many people in Israel think that he is on the payroll of some organizations in Israel, that he really speaks up what many people think is not. But I don't see, I see the problem with anti-Semitism in Iran today, but it's another area that shows the deep hostility and makes them more concerned of country with such an ideology keeping nuclear weapon on the other hand.
So we're running out of time, so if we can have like quick questions and maybe quicker answers. Neil, and then Alan, and then Clem.
Okay. An Iranian nuclear strike would undoubtedly kill many Muslims just because of the intertwining populations in Israel. So I know that according to some Islamic extremists, killing Muslims is acceptable in that type of a strike because they say that the innocents who are killed will get rewarded later and the guilty ones are already tainted by their association. But I'm wondering, that I know that would be the way bin Laden would think about it. But I'm wondering, how do you think the Iranian leadership would deal with that issue? Would this be the type of thing that might split the leadership, the idea of killing Muslims, or would they just get over it?
I'm not aware of discussions on such a depth, in such a depth way on whether or not on which day of the week to throw the bomb on Israel and how many people will be killed. I don't think that a country that is searching for nuclear weapon is immediately thinking how to use it. It is important to have it as an asset, as a sign of leadership in the Muslim world, as an important power in hand. And I didn't see any debate, let alone that they don't claim that they have nuclear weapons. They speak only about nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. But if they will have to use it, I don't think that the main concern will be some Palestinians, Arabs or Muslims will be killed in the process.
Alan?
One of the main problems with getting international pressure on Iran has been Russia and China, which in the long term it seems like it would be in their interest for Iran not to have weapons. It would be a big problem for them, yet I guess they also like tweaking us a little bit. What can we do to get them to basically help instead of hinder the effort to keep Iran from getting?
Well, I agree with you that it's not in the interest of Russia that Iran will get nuclear weapon. I'm not sure about China. They don't care so much. Russians should be concerned with all the problems between the two countries and the Muslims in Russia. I don't think Russia really is eager to see Iran going nuclear. But in the meantime, they don't care to see America sweat for some time. And when Iran came closer to it, I think they will have their second concern. I don't know, honestly, what can be done to unify the Western world, or not only the Western world, on this issue. Here is the leadership of the United States that is at stake. America should really be determined and capable of convincing its allies. You go far to China and Russia. I speak about Italy and France and other countries. So it's not only the problem of, you don't even have a West European consensus, transatlantic consensus on this issue. And Iran is a rich country. Iran has a lot of resources. Iran has 70 million people. It is legitimate for many countries to want to have good relations with Iran. The question is some issues that should be put on the agenda. But I say therefore I said human rights. I think, for example, when I was asked, what do you ask the Iranians as precondition? I said, well, precondition, remove this decree against Salman Rushdie. I was asked, well, we are Israeli Jew, what do you care about it? Well, I said, I don't care about it. I didn't even manage to finish the book. I started 20 times to read it. I finished the book. But it's a symbol of human rights, of the right of free expression. And these are issues that the Baha'i community of Iran the women, suppression of women in Iran. These are issues that might have at least the unanimous agreement or policy of Western European countries. And even we are not even there to speak about having China joining into it will be difficult. It was started moving towards this sanction in the UN, and then again, when you have the National Intelligence Estimate of all these intelligence organizations in the United States claiming that Iran stopped its military nuclear program, everything will collapse.
So very quickly, two questions together, Clemens and then Bob.
I'm wondering, because you ask us to take Ahmadinejad seriously, that means he believes what he says. And at the beginning was not to call to destroy Israel, but there was Holocaust denial. So, and this is a very logical reaction of Ahmadinejad himself, because I think Ahmadinejad, he needs to claim that there was no Holocaust, because after having claimed so, he can say that Jews are playing games with the world, they're saying things which should never happen, and because of this, they have the right to establish their own state. So it's very important, including his relations to right-wing extremists and also left anti-Zionists, some of them who do not deny the Holocaust, but who do not take it seriously. So I think we have to take this point very important, and because you have been so astonished that Ahmadinejad did so, his Holocaust denial conference and so on, and I think this is no contradiction in his view. It is very important for him, because without having done so, he has no legitimization, especially in the Arab world, in the Shia world as well, to say, well, there was no Holocaust, so they have no right to go there. It's logically in their view.
Can I explain it briefly, then go to the second? I think you are right. This is the major theme in Arab anti-Semitism, that the right of Israel for its existence is due to the Holocaust. If there was no Holocaust, no, they don't have the right. You are right. But what I wonder is why, when he is developing nuclear weapons and wants less pressure from the world, he needs to press these issues, because it's sometimes counterproductive.
And I'll make one brief intervention in terms of what Clemens just said. I think it's really important that everybody reads Ahmadinejad's speech at the United Nations a few weeks ago, because he was playing on these issues of Holocaust denial and exacerbating the tensions with the financial economic crisis that we're in, and he really takes the narrative out of the protocols of the Elders of Zion, and I really think that everybody should really read it. It's a very important, I think, phenomenon, and he's speaking to people that are listening.
So put it on your web. Do you have it on your website?
Good idea.
You know, I know you're an academic and not an activist, but every year we know that this guy is coming to the United Nations, and every year we know if it's not Larry King who's going to put him on television, Columbia University invites him to speak, and the Jewish community response has been like, you know, down with this guy, and demonstrate, and I go to the demonstrations. And there's obviously no impact on Russia or China. You don't hear a thing from them at the United Nations. You don't hear anything from the Europeans. At the rallies, by the way, the only non-American who spoke was Canadian. So it's almost as if, what are we not doing that we need to do, or should we not be doing anything? We know he's coming every year, let's put it that way.
Well, I think that the message, in response to his presence here, the message should go not to the Russians or to the Chinese, but go to the Iranian people. Iranians are very sensitive of what the world thinks about them. But for example, inviting him to Colombia and offending him in a way, I think it would be not, I don't care if he's invited. But if you want to treat him this way, don't invite him. But inviting him and attacking him the way he was attacked, it worked to his hand vis-a-vis the Iranian people. I speak only about the view from Tehran. And therefore, I think that there is a lot can be done. Again, not necessarily by Jewish organizations. Like this is the problem of the world. Human rights in Iran, it's not only the problem of the Jews. And I think that we have to try and move the civilized nations and peoples to put these issues higher on their agenda. Because their response would be very important for the young people of Iran. And I think that if I have to speak with anybody today about Iran, my target would be the young people of Iran. The young people who are unemployed, the young people who have now, you know what, in Iran every year now, 800,000 people get into the job market, labor market, only half of them find job. Inflation is high, expectations are higher, and housing services, education services are so lousy. Let's really speak to them the issues that they really care about. Let me finish with a story that I read in Iranian newspaper. Let me summarize the situation that I see in Iran. There was an article by an Ayatollah who called the young Iranians to obey true Islam and not to cross certain red lines. And the young student answered back a week later. It's a fascinating article in the newspaper. And, well, of course, the newspaper was shut down the day after the article was published. And the article was, Pedar Jameh Jaman asked, Father, the society is young. The society was also Jameh, the name of the newspaper. And the student begins with something some of you are my age will not appreciate it. Say that I don't know why people who get old forget their youth. We are young and we want good life. You preach us to obey true Islam, but who is here to tell us how many Islams are there? Which one is true and which one is false? And the bottom line and punchline was at the end. So the problem is not that we, the young people, crossing certain unidentified red lines. The problem is that you, the radical conservative clerics in power, in a one-way street, you are driving against the flow of traffic. And that's the picture you see around. The people want to breathe, the people want good life, but they are confronted with a small group of very powerful elite. They said Islam on one hand, military on the other side, and the determination to maintain power in hand. When there was a revolution in Iran 30 years ago, the Shah took his wife and 4 kids and left the country. The clerics are not 4, not 400, not 4,000, they are much more. And they don't have anywhere else to live. Therefore, the struggle for the future of Iran is going to be much more difficult than the struggle 30 years ago. Thank you.
On behalf of Yusuf, thank you very much for being here again. And thank you everybody for coming.